Mr. Smith, you were to generate 2,000 signatures by virtue of your work.
Correct.
And according to the contract, there's no specificity about how you were going to do that.
No, there was no specificity.
There came a point in time after you got that 3,000, you took 1,500 of it and you purchased a radio ad.
Correct.
Now, your method of trying to collect the 2,000 signatures, as I understand your papers, is that you wanted to know that the defendant had a number of local locations, and he was collecting signatures at those locations. And you had calculated that based on the number of signatures that he collected before hiring you at those locations, it was approximately 275 a month.
275 signatures a month.
A month, that's correct. So you calculated that the way you were going to collect money from the defendant was to show that your radio ad produced an excess of 275 signatures a month, and that excess would be attributed to you. Is that correct?
That is correct. If Mr. Urizandi did not want me pushing signatures to those locations, he could have said that in the very beginning.
I don't understand that. How would you know that a person who went to the defendant's locations went there because of your radio ad? How are you going to do that? Were his people directed to say, how did you come to us? Did you come to us because you heard this on the radio? You didn't have that. Did you hire anyone specifically to collect signatures?
Yes, I had two people.
And how much did you pay them?
$550, I think.
And how many signatures did they collect?
400.
400. So how does the defendant owe you anything more? You owe him because you didn't fulfill the terms of the contract. Judge Acker?
Who drafted the contract between the two of you?
I did.
You signed the contract freely, Mr. Urizandi, correct?
Correct. We both signed
Nobody had a gun to your head.
We both signed the contract. That is correct.
As I read the contract, it strikes me that you kind of feel like the rules don't apply to you. Because when I looked at your agreement, the contract says that any disputes between the two of you have to be submitted to the American Arbitration Association, a nationally recognized arbitral body. But you didn't go to arbitration. You instead sued the plaintiff before you went to arbitration. Didn't you do that?
I received a demand letter from Paul Scott.
Did you go to arbitration before you filed that lawsuit?
So he was the one who first instigated the legal action.
I'm going to back up.
With his demand
I'm
letter.
Stop right now. Please stop
then
talking.
I sued him.
Please stop talking. Thank you. Mr. Scott, prior to the time he sued you in court, did he ever attempt to comply with the contract and initiate an arbitration proceeding?
No.
I point that out because he violated this contract by prematurely initiating a case in court instead of going to arbitration as the contract requires. The contract also has an indemnity clause, which says that the person who prevails will be reimbursed for losses that result from enforcing the contract. Is that also a part of the basis for your breach of contract claim against him today? So, Mr. Urizandi, I'd like to understand why it is after, and I'm quoting you, because these are the words that you used in response to my colleague, Judge Domingo, when she was asking you about the impact and your understanding of that prior court proceeding, she said it was dismissed on the merits. And you said, nah, the court just said, and I quote, no one owes anyone any money. That's a dismissal on the merits. So given that dismissal, I would like to have a better understanding of why it is, after ignoring your arbitration obligation, went to court, which you weren't supposed to do, you lose, and then you bring a lawsuit here in this forum. I see that not simply as a violation of principles of stare decisis, I see it as bad faith litigation and a really outrageous abuse of legal process. So explain to me why it is you believe you're entitled to bring precisely the same claims in this forum that another court dismissed.
So Paul Scott is the plaintiff here, and yet you're yelling at me for bringing this case? He brought me here, okay? So that's the beginning of that.
No, it actually is not. No, it's not.
I countersued.
No,
and it is.
I'm not yelling, but I am using the gavel. Even though he brought a case, that doesn't mean that you can bring a frivolous countersuit. But the question that I have, it is very material to my determination, is why it is you're wasting this court's time relitigating.